Hello, welcome to my channel. So welcome to part 2 of the alchemical series. So this is dissolution, and how annoyed at myself I am for not spotting that earlier. It was quite a sweet thing. So obviously your outcome being the Queen of Swords, and I spoke of at the beginning saying your outcome would be what leads you to the next stage. And then when we read the Kali Ma, she's the goddess of dissolution. So it was like a perfect moving on. I just never clicked. Hey ho, never mind. So dissolution. We'll do the same process again. We'll read it from Black Moon Lilith. We'll pull a spread on it. Energy of dissolution, what your higher self wants you to know, the lower self, recent past, which will be calcination, your advice and potential outcome leading you on to the third step. So dissolution, the stage where that basically the ashes are then cleansed with water. It's the purified substance is dissolved and broken down into its essential components. Very emotional time, extremely emotional time, ruled by Jupiter and water. What Jupiter expands whatever it hits, so it's a big emotional release. So let's dive in. It's named emotional clearing. After the ego is burned to ashes, you are left with raw, real and challenging emotions around what has occurred. This is like the feeling you have after your heart has been shattered into pieces by needing to say goodbye to someone who isn't healthy in your life, or the feeling of fear around money and taking care of yourself after you've left that cushy yet miserable job in favour of pursuing your passion. The universe is requiring you to sit with the angst and unpredictability when you pull this card in your reading. Processing, purging and working with your emotions is extremely important during this alchemical journey. When the dissolution card shows up, it's signalling time for you to cleanse and wash away emotions that have prevented you from shining your light in the world. Your frequency and vibration, consisting of thoughts and feelings, emanate from your physical body and create the world around you. When we release limiting emotions like fear, self-doubt and unworthiness, our magnetism and vibratory manifestation power increase. This is the second phase in alchemy, involving the element of water and associated with Jupiter, the planet of spiritual growth. In this stage, there is an emotional cleansing of limitations, trauma, outdated patterns and belief systems. This step cleanses away the ashes that were created from calcination. While this can feel uncomfortable, it is necessary for you to pull back the societal mask and reveal your true self. Draw yourself a purifying bath with sea salt crystals of your choice. Allow yourself to soak and meditate on this part of your inner transformation. You are cleansing your unconscious mind. Sink into the deep waters of your soul to find the answers. So, again, this involves deep emotional, bringing up to the surface these energies of repressed emotions that we've buried deep within us from traumatic events, anything. And it's interesting actually, Jupiter tends to rule the kind of solar plexus area, which is where the liver is, and the liver stores emotions that we can't deal with at the present time. Whether you had to be brave in a situation so you couldn't deal with it, where you know maybe wanted to run from a situation but you were stuck in freeze, all that energy gets stored, and this is what needs to come up to the surface. And like I said, Jupiter is ruling this. It expands whatever it hits. So this is a need to bring it all, everything that we've buried deep within us, to bring it all to the surface. Very cathartic afterwards, but afterwards, not an easy process. This is a stage of getting extremely honest with ourselves as well. This is a stage where we have to pull back, step back, see things from a higher perspective, and truly observe our behaviour, our positive and negative behaviours, with compassion, with softness and gentleness for ourselves. Nobody's perfect. We all have toxic traits. We all have these energies that we're not very proud of ourselves with. If we don't take responsibility at this stage of our faults, of our past traumas, they will be brought to the surface because they need releasing. We can't move on to the next stage without releasing. One of the fastest, well, not fastest way, it's a bit of a ridiculous thing to say, my apologies, but one of the most helpful ways during this process, I find, is frequency work, especially 417 hertz. Now 417 hertz is linked to the sacral chakra, and it's also about releasing the past, turning the negative experiences into positive lessons or experiences. It's about letting go of the past. Everything is yin and yang, as above, so below, as within, so without. Solfeggio frequencies have yin and yang. The yin is the internal, which is the solfeggio frequencies, 417. The mirror is 471. So listen to 417. It's not an overnight process. This is a long journey. And then when you're ready, 471 will have it brought out to you in the reality, releasing. But we need to be mindful of it first. So taking responsibility at this stage is, I kind of feel like it's the true beginning of spiritual awakening, because it's spiritual maturity when we can look at ourselves with a fine-tooth comb and really analyze our negative aspects, not forgetting our positive ones. We need to highlight them as well, just as important. Okay, so let's do 2 more. So dissolution, we have the 7 of Swords. Very interesting. This is that moment where we can bail. We bail on it because we're just not ready to let go. This is that key moment of self-sabotage where we easily fall back into old habits and old ways. This is that, it's a card of self-sabotage. It's a card of maybe fearing diving into that deep aspect, because if we break it down, it's the moon in Aquarius, which is the High Priestess meets the Star card. So the High Priestess is whispering what caused, it's kind of the High Priestess high-fiving the Uranus awakening energy. Not an easy process, but this is really important because this is that self-sabotage. This is that moment where the emotions are all over the place. Like I say, this is where you feel lost at sea. This is where you feel like you're drowning. This is where you feel like you have no sure-footedness. And it's easy to just dive into escapism. It's easy to turn back to drink if it's drink. It's easy to dive yourself into work if that's your escaping aspect. And it's interesting as well, because when we looked at the first calcination being Saturn and your first card being Libra, Saturn in Libra being the 3 of Swords, the 3 swords plus the 4 swords. 4 swords is time out. This stage does sometimes, if we're not willing to do the work, introduce a timeout. Now that timeout can come in any sort of format. This could be placing you in isolation. This could be illness, mental health issues, a crisis of some sorts where it has to, it places more attention on these behaviours, highlighting these avoidance patterns, highlighting addictions to unhealthy habits, sorry. What does your higher self want to know? Your lower self? Recent past, which is what that calcination brought. Your advice? And the potential outcome. Perfect. Okay, so Ace of Pentacles at the bottom. This is a gift. It just might not look like it. The Hangman. This is a gift of suspension. A suspension where we have a new vision. We look at something from a different perspective. So, we have the 7 of Swords. Your higher self wants you to know the King of Wands. The King of Wands is a visionary. The King of Wands is 2 parts Sagittarius, 1 part Shadow Scorpio. Basically what the universe is here to say is, you've got, and ignore the zodiac aspect, I'm talking about it in an alchemical process. It's 1 part Scorpio, which is death, 2 parts Temperance. So you've got that ability to overcome this. You've got 2 parts, that's an alchemical genius, versus 1 part, that's that death and rebirth process. It's also the next stage. We was at the Hangman, then we met with that Nine of Cups, where the Wheel of Fortune meets the Hangman, keeps us stuck until we go through death. Card 13 is death, card 14 is temperance. It's like your higher self is saying you're exactly where you need to be. What we're not aware of, so I'm so used to doing that old for these zodiacs. What your lower self wants you to know is the Ten of Wands. This too shall pass. Ten of Wands is Saturn, but this time Saturn in Sagittarius. So Saturn meets temperance, alchemy, but it's also what rules Sagittarius? Jupiter. Saturn, the first one, meets Jupiter, second one. You're exactly where you're supposed to be. As much as it's difficult, as much as the energy is all bogged down on top of you, do not ignore this process. Now, the thing that's worrying me most about this spread is there is no water. This feels like an avoidance stage. We will be looking for water in a second, more importantly via death and temperance, but there's a process here. Recent past, the calcination is with the Page of Wands. Page of Wands is about getting curious. It's about looking at that inner child. The inner child is in the sacred geometry connected with, let's have a quick peek, because I can't remember this off the top of my head, but it's just something that's really standing out in the head. I was hoping it was going to be at the bottom, but no. The wonder of childhood is alive in me, and the joy of youth sets me free. Acknowledge the inner child. Okay, so this is the part where we acknowledge the inner child. The egg is a symbol of fertility and new life. Within the egg is an octahedron within a cube or a hexahedron. We start life being conceived within the sacral chakra and are birthed through into the physical via the base chakra, which is a representation of the cube. Our first 7 years of life are said to be imprinted within our base chakra. The inner child is a representation of these two platonic solids as the octahedron works with the heart. These are the years where we are most impressionable. To see our inner strengths and beauty and know that abuse of self is not the answer, the road to recovery will be powerful. It may take time, but once you set your intentions to help yourself and re-engage with the most precious parts of your being, your inner child, life will take on a whole new meaning. Reconnect to the world of child's play, a world without responsibilities. Allow yourself to ride the waves of your imagination. Get your hands dirty, build sandcastles or play on that swing. Watching children's movies gives so much joy and can lead you to another reality. Reawaken your inner child and set yourself on the path for deep and meaningful healing. Okay. So there's something about the first 7 years of your life where we create a lot of our belief systems. And that is what's up for grabs in this process during this time. Your advice is the Nine of Pentacles. The Nine of Pentacles' advice is suggesting here, this is what you're after. The Nine of Pentacles is attainment. It's spiritual attainment, it's freedom, it's financial freedom, it's the Hermit, which is the whole idea of it. It's Venus in Virgo, so the whole idea of it is the Hermit, to seek within, meets the Empress. When we seek within, we meet Venus, abundance, beauty, everything wonderful in the world, material world. Your outcome is justice. The first aspect of that first spread, where we have to burn away and then dissolve, we start balancing the scales. So it's like we take the first part, we take the second part, we balance that, we're ready for the third. So let's check out the temperance and death. Well, death is straight away with the Five of Pentacles and strength. This is a process that takes a lot of inner strength. It takes a lot of ability to not fall back into old ways, to not feel sorry for ourselves, for not feeling a victim. One of the biggest crucial points in this aspect is to release victimization, where we blame others. And this is about taking responsibility. This is about emotional maturity. So the Queen of Swords is with the Wheel of Fortune and the Two of Wands. So there's that Kalimar. She's bringing the next stage of the cycle, which is the Two of Wands, which is the Mars in Aries. So the Tower hits the Emperor, and this is that stage where we're just with no structure, with no sure-footedness, and that's when the Tower starts, you know, revealing things of what actually isn't stable in our lives, what roots that we thought were strong weren't strong. And Temperance is with the Ten of Swords and the Star card. This is the crucial point. This is knowing that we turn these emotions from that Uranus awakening and we get rid of what it needs to. Last card I really hope is a water card. Queen of Cups, thank God for that. And that's what we were aware of in the first spread. Weather Lotus, no mud, no lotus. Okay? Interesting. I want to take, what I want to do at this stage, what do we want? Let's take herbal astrology. Let's see what we get at this stage. Okay, all right. Just here in Carl Jung. So his quote at this stage is it sums up this. One does not become enlightened by imagining figures of light, but by making the darkness conscious. That's this stage. Echinacea with destiny and Rue with protection. So you're definitely protected during this process. Okay, so upright, wheel of change, life cycles, destiny, bigger vision, fortune and fate. And that's what your higher self wants you to see at this stage. The bigger picture, the visionary, the King of Wands. Reversed, karma, clinging to control. That's what I say, you know, you can't control anything at this stage. This is that purge, this is that letting go. This is that trusting in the water element of this. The water element is, you know, you don't swim upstream because you'd just be fighting and battling forever. This is when you go with the flow. This is where you trust the process. This is where you trust being the chrysalis in the stages of the butterfly. Karma, clinging to control, unwelcome change, cycles of suffering, a change is due. The snake eating its tail, the Ouroboros, is the wheel of change, resembling the cycles of life and death. The sun and moon orbit and spin the wheel of change, representing our earthly domain. The echinacea sprouting in the centre represents evolutionary consciousness, unbound by the confines of destiny. Like the wheel of fortune, this card may signal a twist of fate, a time where something in life shifts us and reorients us elsewhere. This is to remind you that the universe is always in motion and nothing is by accident. The key to see through the cycles of destiny is to remain centered and fluid. There's that water again. Flowing with the course of life. The elusive judgments of good and bad only limits the vision of the great understanding. Step back and observe the great vision at play and be unbound by the passing influences. Very important to go with the flow at this stage. And I think one of the reasons why water hasn't shown up is I think a lot of people will recognise you may have thought you were further on down the line in the magnum opus and you might be still only at stage 2. Don't beat yourself up about that. This is not a fast process. When we recognise this, for me, this is the longest process. After this, things speed up. Okay? Definitely, 6 of Wands. So guys, don't beat yourself up if you're in this energy. A lot more will be here and not realise it. But good comes. So trust the process. Go with the flow. Don't fight the emotions coming. And really, 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 really look at where we're clinging and holding on. Quick peek. I was hoping to keep them under a certain amount of time, but I just want to see where... Yeah, look at that. The 8 of Wands, which is one of the fastest cards, goes quickly because when we dive into the moon, the fears, and your advice of the first spread, 10 of Pentacles. But I wanted to look at the Four of Pentacles, which is where we hold on to the devil, Sun in Capricorn. Holding on to, and when I say the devil, I just mean energies that are no longer resonant with us. And the Four of Pentacles is with the Six of Cups and the Seven of Pentacles. Keeps us stuck waiting and waiting and waiting when we just need to shine a light on the process. The Sun in Scorpio, so the Sun meets death, and look at all those waters attached to what? The Six of Cups is nostalgia, the past, trauma. The world. Saturn is with you on this one. This is one of the biggest, out of all the 7, this is probably going to be the most important for a lot of people. Let it out, let it up, look closely, really engage. Okay, see you in part 3. Bye.